Hi. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday, right? I came on live to say that sometimes we have our own plans, we have our own idea of how to do something, but once we surrender to God, that we will realize that our plans will never really have led us to the destination. So I say this to say real quick, is that so I decided that I wanted to take myself out to lunch, and I'm starting to read a book. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna take myself to lunch, I'm gonna run some errands, and I'm going to start reading this book like over a Subway sandwich. I got coupons, so I'm trying to be more like frugal with my money right now, since I'm not like working full time at the moment. And so I decide, okay, let me do the GPS, because I knew that there was a Subway in my area that was closed. That when my boyfriend and I tried to go one time, we were like, why are these papers on the windows, and there's like a padlock on it. So what I did was, let me find another one. So I put it in my GPS. I put it in my Apple maps or Google Maps or whatever. And so I'm deciding to follow it. And so like I'm following it and I'm staying calm. But for some reason I keep missing my turn. I keep missing my turn. I keep missing the turns. The next thing you know, I'm all the way at the college campus, which is like right across, like maybe like 5 minutes from my house. Then I drive through there and I'm like, come on, God, like where are we going? And then somehow I ended up on a different neighborhood. Then basically, long story short, is that I went through like 2 different schools, 2 to 3 different areas. I ended up getting onto a street that I knew, and I knew that it can take me back home. So I was like, okay. So I was getting frustrated, and I was like, you know what, God? Like, I really don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to settle for McDonald's. And if you know me personally, I don't eat McDonald's because I don't know. I don't like them anymore. I'm more of a Wendy's person or a Chick-fil-A person. And so I'm like, I'm going to settle for McDonald's because, it's cheap, it's quick, it's easy. If I wanted to sit in there, I could, or I can just get my food and go home. And so, because it's literally like 5 minutes from my house or less. And so I was like, well, let me go into this plaza where this McDonald's like is located. And so I'm like, God, like, I'm not going to get frustrated. You must be trying to take me through something. You must be trying to show me something. And so I decided to go the long way. And so I went through all this up and down, and I finally got into the plaza. And as soon as I turned in, boom, it was a Subway. And I was like, wow, God. Like, and at that moment, that's when God told me and spoke to me, is that, you know what, so many people are living their lives with a calculated GPS, with something written down, with something they want to do, something they've seen other people do, and they're trying to do it a certain type of way. But what they don't realize is that if you go through the long way, you go through the process, and you feel lost, sometimes you feel lost and you feel uncertain about what and why you're going this way. Like, I literally went through different neighborhoods. Like, I learned some stuff in the process. Like, I know how to get back to my home, and I've only been in this city for 5 months. So I've learned how to get back to my home no matter where I found myself being lost. And it's a key thing I want everyone to understand, is when you believe that God has called you to do something and He has planned your life a certain way, sometimes we think that the way that we're going may seem long, it may seem lengthy, it may seem unnecessary. You feel like you're going around in circles. But if you tell God that I trust you and I'll stay calm in this moment, then God will be able to show you that sometimes being lost is not as bad as you think it is. Is that you'll be going through a whole long process, but it is God who will be with you. And so my journey with my Subway today, and I realized in the process of being lost, right? So in the process of being lost, my boyfriend calls and he goes, hey, do you want a sandwich? And I was like, look at God knowing what I need and what I wanted on today. So, and then he was like, but I'm at so-and-so. I'm like, are you in Subway? Are you close to the Subway? Like, where are you getting a sandwich from? And so the place that he told me means that he's in San Francisco. So that means you're nowhere near where I'm at. You have what I want, what I desired, but you're not where I'm at. You're not located near me. And that means the distance between when you get to me and when we get to each other to get what it is that I desire, that means time would have passed. I probably could have gotten there faster, or I no longer would have wanted it, but I would have to have waited for him to get there. And so I was like, oh, okay. He's like, well, what do you want? And I was like, okay, this is what I want. But then something clicked. It was like, but God, I'm hungry right now. I wanted it right now. I wanted it in this season. This is when I needed it. This is what I'm asking you for right now. It's not that I'm not grateful for the waiting. I'm not grateful for the process. I'm not grateful for what it is that you're taking me to and through. But I want someone to realize that sometimes we have to we don't have to remind God, but we need to remind ourselves by talking to God that, God, I understand my waiting. I understand that you're taking me through a process, but God, you said that you would supply all my needs according to your riches and glory. So that means you have to tell God that I believe you and I trust you and I will wait. But God, you know what I need right in this second. And so even with me just being a little frustrated and not understanding why I went through all that I went through to get to just a sandwich. Not like I'm asking for like a steak, you know what I mean? But a sandwich that I want to use a $3.99 coupon on. And I've come to realize in this moment, in this season of my life and maybe in your life, but when God allows you to take the scenic route, when he allows it to seem like it will never happen or it's too far, the distance is too far, the time is slipping, remember that God always will meet your immediate need right then and there. And then once I gave up my own GPS, I cut it off. I said, you know what, God, whatever you want me to learn in this moment, this is what I'm going to learn. I relaxed. I drove around. I listened to my music. And like I said, I reached the destination. Then I want you to know that with me settling for McDonald's, it wouldn't have been what I wanted. And it would have been quick and it would have been fast. It would have been in a hurry. But God saw that what I wanted was still in the vicinity. I want someone to know, and I want someone to understand that just because something that you want may seem like you cannot find it, you cannot see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, I need you to understand, do not settle on what it is that you want or something like it or something similar, something quick and something easy. Stop settling for things that God said is not what you wanted, because he said that if you will obey me and you will surrender your life to me, that I will give you the desires of your heart. So that means that you need to wait, and you need to wait, but you need to be worshiping God in the moment. Because when I decided to cut the GPS off, that means my worship music turned up. That means me and God were in communication. That means I wasn't stressing about what I was going to eat. I just knew that God told me to be calm and to just drive around. And when I remembered what God said and I recalled what he said, then I was able to relax and wait, and God brought what I needed to me. Now, mind you, sometimes when we're going through things, and sometimes when we're doing things, and sometimes we're planning stuff, we were like, something in our gut, our instinct, our intuition says, you know what, there's a so-and-so over there, or you should do it this way, or you should do that. And I remember when I was driving around in circles, something inside me said, Jasmine, there might be a Subway in this plaza because of the fact that it was a whole bunch of food. And so with me driving around and trying to figure out how am I going to get to the Subway, and I felt lost and I was feeling confused, God just reminded me that sometimes he told you to do something and he tells us to do things, but then we dismiss it because we still want to follow our own plan. God showed me, in me being lost and looking for my Subway and trying to treat myself to lunch, that when he told me years ago what to do, I put down his will. I put down his directions for my own GPS. So when I cut off my GPS and told God, I surrender to what you want to do with me in this moment, that's when I found what I wanted. And so I just wanted someone to know that in your process of life and what you're doing, the way that I drove around looking for the Subway today, the way that I listened to the GPS and I still couldn't find it, that if I put down my own plans, if I put down my own thought processes, if I put down what I wanted, the desire that I had, God was going to lead me to it no matter what. And what I realized is that when I was driving around and I was getting frustrated, I was like, God, but you know this is what I wanted. I didn't want to wait till my boyfriend to come all the way home to bring me a sandwich. I wanted what I wanted right now. But then when I realized that God said, I have to take you through a process of where you trust me. Trust where I'm taking you. Calm down. Learn something while you're going through the process. Learn something while you're taking the scenic route. Learn something while it's not being the way that you want it to be. How about you just learn something and lean on me and worship me? And when I turned off the GPS and turned up the music, I was like, you know what, God? Okay, whatever you want. And when I literally found the Subway, like 5 minutes from my house, that I was running around in circles for, I had to thank God, because I realized that in my life and in this season, that's what I've been doing. Up until this point, I have had my own GPS on. Up until this point, I've been trying to get to something that God has called me to do by following someone else's roadmap. But when I've decided to just be on my knees in worship and praising God and telling him, not my will, but your will, I have realized that he has directed me and guided me to places where I never knew that I was going to be at. And so I just want you, I don't even remember what I entitled this, but I want you to be encouraged, and I want you to know that just because you have a plan, God's plan is so much greater. Get lost in his plan. Get lost in his process, because when you look up, your Subway will be right there. When you look up, you won't have to settle for a McDonald's. You won't have to settle for something that looks good. You won't have to settle for something that is satisfying for that moment, but it's not even what you desired. Do not give up your desires for temporary pleasure. Do not give up your desires, because it's easier to say, God, you're not doing what you said you were going to do. But in reality, God is waiting for you to shift your focus, to shift your mind, and to understand that what he has planned for you is so big that sometimes the words won't even come out. You can't even tell God thank you enough. God has done something so great in my life, enormous in my life, just on this morning, today, that all I had to do was sit there and praise him and thank him, because of the fact that all that God wanted to do was for me to understand that the long process, the long wait, the me thinking that I was going the wrong way, me thinking that I was going to be lost, that he found me and helped me find my way in the process. So just take my little Subway story. I was running around looking for a Subway. I couldn't find the Subway I wanted. I ended up going on to Contra Costa College campus. I don't know how I did that. I ended up like going up and down everywhere. But then God was like, calm down, rest in me. And then that's when I realized I found what I wanted. I was about to settle on something else. And that is for somebody. You are about to settle on some relationship. You're about to settle on some job. You're about to settle and not pursue that dream. You're about to settle and not do that book. You're about to settle and think that starting the nonprofit or the business is too hard. It is too hard. It is hard. Trust me, I'm doing it. I didn't want to be in full-time ministry without having a savings anymore. My savings is gone. Now I'm thrust into full-time ministry with no job. And it's hard. But I realized that as I've taken on the process and I've decided to surrender myself to God and realize that my plans will never supersede his plan, God is doing some amazing things. Like, I can't even tell you how amazing he is and how great he has been in just the 3 weeks of me not working, of how he's sustaining me and how I'm losing things that I thought that I needed. And I realized that I always thought that my plan, if I make, they say write the vision and make it plain. But if it's not God's vision, there's no need for you to write it. Like, people do all the vision boards. I've done a vision book. But if it's not God's vision, stop writing it. Stop writing it. Because the only thing you need to be saying is, God, I surrender to your will. And he will speak to you and confirm what it is that he really wants you to do. Like, right now, I'm writing a book and I'm trying to do a whole bunch of things. But sometimes I have to say, God, what is it that you want me to focus on right now, today? And I realize all the things I want to do, he tell me, put it down. wait till later. Stop. Because just because it's part of the vision and I wrote it out and I planned it out doesn't mean that it's part of his plan for right now. So I love you guys. I was just so excited that getting lost trying to get some food, because I love food, was going to give me a blessing like that. But I just pray that someone's encouraged to know that you may think, or you may have an idea of how to get to whatever the destiny is. But if you just surrender your plan, there's things that I don't know, from graphing to how to promote stuff and how to advertise. Like, I promise you, there's things I don't know. Only thing I know how to do is be cute and be me. Like, there's a lot of things I don't know. But I've just learned that if I surrendered myself to Christ and allow him to be for me to be the vessel and for him to just pour out, I realize a lot of things have fallen into place. So be happy, be glad, and enjoy your Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. Yeah. Enjoy your Tuesday. God bless you. Bye-bye.